Okay, so I put together a bit of a simulation here. So what we have are 5 different factions: Empire of the Sun, Lunar Republic, Martian Iron Front, Venusian Hegemony, and Mercury Syndicate. And each of these factions is run by a council of 7 different characters. 6 of these characters are advocates for a particular kind of a resource that is available to the faction. So we've got gold, influence, what do we got? Fuel. This is research, logistics. Oh, right, fleet power. So this is the fleet advocate over here, for example. And you'll notice when I'm clicking on them, it's showing these red and green outlines. So what's going on here is that each of these advocates has a positive or negative opinion of one another. So here we can see that this particular character has a sort of a -3 opinion of this character, whereas this one over here, +17. So this character, they like this person. This character, not so much. So when we run the simulation, we're going to step through some decision making where each turn it's going to go through all of the different factions, and each faction is going to have a few steps to sort of deliberate what it wants to do in the game world, let's say, and ultimately they'll come to a decision. The leader will make a decision. The outcome of that decision will sort of get carried out by a referee. Now that decision is going to end up altering the way that these characters feel about one another. There'll be some petty arguments and whatnot. Why did this policy go forward? Why did he go with that? Why did that happen? Arguments, alliances, intrigue, that sort of thing. So decisions will get made typically about doing research or building fleet power or maybe stealing resources from another faction. So let's run this and we'll see how this goes. So we're starting off with a bit of a distribution of resources. So they all have their own sort of unique distribution. So right now this research advocate is I've got some things to say. So they're deliberating here, the Empire of the Sun. Okay, so that's finished. I'm going to stop this for now. So that was one phase of deliberation here on turn 1. A full turn goes through all of the different factions, and then we start at the top again for turn 2. And on turn 2, we'll get another of these. This is this up here. There's a sort of a distribution of new resources every turn. So let's have a look at what they actually discussed here. So the research advocate, they seem to want to research this sensor mesh, and they're really pushing for it. They're talking about it again here. But the fuel advocate seems to want advanced fusion. The logistics advocate is pushing for researching closed loop life support. A common theme, though, is they're all pushing for some kind of a research project, which is not, they don't necessarily need to do that. There's, frankly, a completely infinite range of other possible actions they can just invent out of nothing, and the referee will decide what the results of that would be. But at the end, it seems like they have decided to do, what did they do here? Okay, so they tried to research something, but there was a failure. There's a random chance of it succeeding or failing based on how absurd the referee thinks the attempt is. If they're trying to do something very sensible or something really absurd, it alters how the dice are rolled, I guess you could say. So they lost some research points. I think they started with maybe 12 or something. Now they've lost that, so they're going to have trouble doing any research next turn. And as a result of all of this deliberation, we can see different opinions have changed between the council members, some positive, some negative. And what will happen over time is there's a polarizing effect. So the scale goes from negative 100 to positive 100, and after many, many, many turns, the expectation is that these values will become more and more polarized. But there's also a chance at the beginning of every deliberation round that these, I don't know, interpersonal conflicts or alliances can be neutralized by random events. So, anyway, this was the first deliberation for the Empire of Sun, and then we sort of started off partially with the Lunar Republic here. The research advocate and the fuel advocate started talking about some things. So initially, they all tend to seem to like to do the research projects. There's a whole technology tree. There's sort of it's sort of a low-hanging fruit where they can reliably exchange research points for very tangible, sort of predetermined outcomes. It will give them a certain amount of this resource or that resource. But when they've got no more research points left, they start to do more experimental things, which can still result in some pretty fantastic outcomes. But the more absurd the thing that they try to do, like maybe they try to do this, maybe this faction tries to spy on this faction or sabotage some moon base or something. If it fails, they could lose enormous resources. They could end up destroying something. They could, well, all kinds of crazy things could happen. Now I'm noticing there's a little bit of a bug here. What's supposed to be happening here is these characters are doing their deliberation, and at a certain point, it has to stop, and the leader is supposed to make a really clear articulation of what they're doing, and I'm not seeing that happen. I think I've somehow cut that out. So, you know what? Let me just reprogram this for a moment, and I'll get back to you. Okay, I'm back. I fixed a few things. Let's start the simulation up. It's a little bit easier to read this now. You can see the influence. As a result of her saying this, these other counselors either got a positive or negative opinion of her, or at least an additional in one direction or the other. So they're arguing about what to do. And the leader's finally made a decision. Or he's taken all of this into consideration, and he's decided, okay, they're going to research advanced fusion. Success. So they got that, which gave them some fuel and logistics. Good for them. Now we step over to the Lunar Republic here. They're also trying to figure out what they want to research first. They decided to do nothing. Okay. Now we're over to Mars. Again, talking about research. What will they do first? They're going to try to research fusion, and they were able to do it. And we're over to Venus. So I'm just going to let this play out for a few turns, because we're still on the first turn right now. Venus has decided to do nothing. They don't want to spend any resources. Doing nothing is a choice. All right, Mercury They have chosen to research closed loop life support. Didn't work though. Total failure. They lost all their research points. Well, most of them. They got 4 left. All right, so the beginning of a new turn. Some new resources are distributed to everyone. Now they're talking. Now, they don't have any research points, so now they're just talking about what to do. Some of them seem to want to build fleet, increase fuel production, increase logistics. Obviously, they're advocating for each of their own particular things. And the leader has decided we're going to do fuel. The referee has decided, all right, they're going to get fuel, they're going to lose gold and logistics in order to get that fuel. All right, so we've stepped through the Lunar Republic. They tried to do some research and they failed. But they still have quite a lot. The Lunar Republic tends to get a lot of research points with each turn, so they should be able to do a lot of research throughout they'll probably be doing research most turns in the game. It looks like Mars tried to do something here that they're not allowed to do. Yeah, the referee has stepped in and said, you can't do that. Venus is going for life support. Critical success. Venus, they don't have very much research, so they're talking about, what are they talking about? Doing nothing, build a fleet, do nothing, build a fleet. And the leader has decided to gain influence. Okay, he's not really listening to them at all. The council's obsession with passive conservation and unsupportable hull expansion. Very funny. Okay. I'm sure they love that. It's really interesting to see some of the just emergent events that just happen. Okay, we got a critical failure here. So sometimes when people try things, when factions try things, it goes really badly. This is actually not too bad. They lost 30 gold. That's actually not too bad. They could lose way, way more. Critical failures can result in the loss of almost all of their resources. So that's actually totally okay. All right, they finally got the life support here. See what Mars is looking to do. Invest gold into influence. So this guy's sort of arguing with one of the other counselors. Yeah, they keep getting turned down by the referee. I might actually need to change something in the code here. They shouldn't be attempting things that are actually impossible. So we're on turn 3 here. We're just closing in on the end of turn 3. I have no research points left. They only have 7, so they probably can't... Yeah, Mercury probably can't research anything. So they're looking to invest gold into fuel, into logistics. So they're looking to do an exchange of some kind. They should be able to do that. The referee should let them do that. Let's see what happens. Yeah, they're trying to invest gold into logistics. But it just didn't work. All right, a new turn. We're on turn 4. New distribution of resources. Okay, we got a new thing here. So this is a reset, some catastrophic failure of, well, something's happened. We can read this to find out. But the gist of it is some relationships have been reset. So some relationships between the influence advocate, the fuel advocate, and the research advocate have been neutralized. Let's have a look at that for a moment. I'll stop the simulation. So let's see here. So interesting. This character here, who is the faction leader, every one of their counselors likes them right now. So that's pretty good. But this actually didn't affect them. This affected these 3. Where's the fuel? Oh, this one's not doing too well. Fleet. Okay, so this is the research advocate. His relationship with one of these other characters was just neutralized. Fuel advocate. Yeah, so this one here and this one here should be at 0, and yes, it is. They basically have whatever their previous grievances or allegiances were, they're set to 0 now. Which is good. That seems like that's working. The characters grow increasingly polarized over time, but then these events, these random events, pop in and reset things, shake things up. So I'm pretty happy with the way this is working so far. I might do some more work on it.